Yes. Well, I think we'll get started. We know everybody's got busy days. You got to go out and look at stuff and buy stuff. So we appreciate your coming. And we're going to talk for about an hour on an interesting subject, and hopefully you'll find it worthwhile. I'm Warren Shoulberg. I work on a couple of magazines, Gifts and Decorative Accessories, HFN, a couple of others, and I'm Safety and Numbers, working on a lot of publications. So our subject today is Housewares and Giftware, the convergence, how they're coming together and how they're loving it. And I think we were just talking before, and this is a topic that we could not have discussed this a couple of years ago. It's a fairly recent development, and it seems to have worked to the benefit of both product segments. So we've got a pretty impressive panel. It's these four people, believe it or not. So. Right, the impressive panel is coming after these four people. So
that's right.
We're just warming the chairs up.
We're getting this ready.
I can't insult them; they have to carry this because I'm just asking questions here. So, but we've got folks from retail, folks from supply side, folks from gift, folks from housewares, and it's a good cross section. So I think we're going to hopefully cover this topic well, and you'll leave here with some information. Just going to ask each panelist to introduce themselves and give you a little 90-second bio, and we'll start on my immediate left with Mary Liz Curtin, who will tell you who she is.
Good morning. I'm Mary Liz Curtin, and my husband and I own Leon and Lulu. We are a 15,000 square foot destination lifestyle store located just outside Detroit. We sell clothing and gifts and furniture and decorative accessories and housewares and toys and books and candy and some other stuff that I cannot recall at this moment. If you name a category, we're in it. But housewares is a very important part of our mix, and I'm delighted to be here today.
Okay. Next up is Martha Nading. Martha?
I'm Martha Nading. I'm from the South, so you're going to love listening to me talk. I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina, and my husband and I own a store called The Extra Ingredient. This is our 30th year in business. We started out primarily housewares, and we have adapted to all kinds of tabletop and gift. It's been a really fun transition into some of that. I'm glad to be here. I'm hoping to learn from this panel. We also carry some gourmet food. We sell coffee beans and loose teas. We sell a lot of things that we like, which makes it a fun business.
So that's the two folks from the retail side, and then from the supply side, Sid Ramnerace from Sephora, Lifetime Brands. Sid?
Hi everyone, I'm Sid Ramnerace. I'm responsible for the Sephora brand. I come at it from a little bit different angle. I'm originally a designer. But Sephora is part of the Lifetime Brands family of companies. Lifetime Brands has been around about 56 years, and Sephora is our latest foray into housewares. I'd invite you to come over to our little village, because it is a village. It's a huge aisle in the 1100 aisle over there. But I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
And last and not least is Gary Sherman from Creative Co-op. Gary?
Hello everyone, thanks for coming. My name is Gary Sherman. Creative Co-op is a lifestyle, whole home, whole furnishings company. We make decorative accessories, candles, jewelry, furniture, lighting. We really see ourselves as a lifestyle company. There's about 5,000 active items in the line. We change about 40% of our mix of goods annually. Our distribution is about 12,000 independent retailers in the United States, crossing a wide variety of different channels of distribution. So this is an interesting panel for us because we cover a lot of different channels of distribution. So Creative Co-op is been around about 14 years, so we're relatively new in terms of the business, but we're having a big impact on the marketplace. I've been in the business 28 years.
28 best years of your life, I think is what you meant to say, yes.
Exactly.
Okay, so a couple of housekeeping things. We are, this session is being recorded, so behave yourself, and if you need to refer to anything that's spoken here or discussed, this will be up on the IHA website, maybe not tomorrow morning, but soon, so you can you can refer to it and go back to it and tell your friends and neighbors about it. We'll certainly take questions and answers at the end, but if there's things you'd like to jump in and ask or discuss while folks are talking, there is somebody with a microphone out in the audience, and just raise your hand, and hopefully I'll be able to see you, and we'll just feel free to jump into the conversation. So I'm going to start on our Gifts and Decorative Accessories magazine. We do some research every year on trends with stores, and this, as I said, this topic is sort of so new that we don't have a lot of stats that really tell the story, because it is still evolving, this convergence of these two categories. So, but I pulled a couple of things, and this first one is about gift stores, and we asked them about the different product categories that they carry, and what you'll see is that there's a lot of products that you can find on the floor here, and they're kind of highlighted in yellow: tabletop and glassware and gourmet foods, and at the bottom is gourmet tools and housewares. And we have not asked this question historically for many years, so I can't go back and compare numbers from years ago, but anecdotally, we know that those housewares related categories are much higher in this mix than they used to be. And if you had said even a few years ago that 1 out of 8 gift stores would be carrying gourmet foods and housewares, that would have been a pretty impressive statistic. So definitely gift stores moving into the housewares categories, and this is a similar chart that kind of looks at the mix of products that stores carry, and obviously gift stores are focused a lot on jewelry and fashion products and candles. God knows where all these candles are actually being used, but candles continue to be a hot category. But if you go into the second tier and the third tier, again, you'll see a lot of the traditional, conventional houseware products that are in the mix and that are important to gift stores. And then finally, on the houseware side, we asked housewares, we asked gift suppliers what are their fastest growing channels, and obviously they're still focused on gift specialty stores. But if you look towards the middle of the chart, department stores and discount department stores and some of the other categories, clearly those are stores that are much more identified with housewares than gifts. So I think the statistics, again, don't tell the whole story, and our panel will tell the whole story, but I think what you're definitely seeing is that this convergence is happening. These, as I said, these charts are out of our Gifts and Deck magazine. If you need to see them, or you want some more of the research we've done, you can just go on giftsanddeck.com, and it has lots and lots of this information. So I think we'll start with the panel and kind of just talk about this convergence. And I'm going to start with Mary Liz, who is closest to me physically.
Always.
Always, yes. So as you described it, your store is kind of a cross-merchandising wonderland with all kinds of categories. How do you fit housewares and functional products into your mix? How does that work?
We sell a lot of gifts in our store. And basically a gift is anything you put a bow on and give to your friend. A gift can be a loaf of bread, it can be it could be a candle. God knows it often is. But one of the things I love are gifts that are useful and functional and something that people can enjoy having. Housewares fits that bill perfectly. And we have found in the 9 years we've had this store that often, if I have a fabulous spatula or a wonderful dish towel or something that really, really works, a lady will buy one, because we tell her to, and then she'll come back and buy 10 of them and give them to all of her friends. We had a bridge club the other day who used dish towels for party favors because they work. So anything that, I like to say, if it earns the place in the drawer, any of those housewares pieces become fabulous gift items.
Is there a housewares product a housewares category that tends to sell better in your store than perhaps some other housewares categories?
We don't sell anything serious. We don't sell anything electric. We don't sell anything for the real gourmet chef, but we sell interesting peelers. But we sell pot lids. We sell dish towels. We sell soaps, homekeeping things. But every single thing we buy has to be good looking. It's got to be very, very well designed. It's got to work. And if it's amusing, that's even better. If it's something that makes them laugh, a cheese grater that looks like the Eiffel Tower, something that's got some kind of amusement to it, for us, that's a triple home run.
And everybody needs a cheese grater.
I actually have quite a few of those, Warren, so I can set you up. More people, I think, needed them. I mean, I thought more people would need them than actually did. It wasn't one of my better moments. So should you need, actually that was a bad one because I had a bride who said she wanted to order this cheese grater like the Eiffel Tower for every one of the guests at her wedding. So I did. Then she only gave them to lady guests at her wedding. So I still have the gentleman guest
So you
cheese
still have
grater
some.
7 years later.
And you'll make a special offer to the audience?
I might. Give me a call.
Martha, you've got the flip side in your store. It is primarily a housewares and gourmet store. How do you fit gifts into your mix? What kind of gifts work for your customer?
I am indeed the flip side, it sounds like, even though I haven't visited your store. I am primarily housewares, but I'm like you. I like to think that anything in my store could be a potential gift. And so we do gift wrap, and we can turn it into a gift immediately. The large majority of what I have is serious cooking equipment. And the Eiffel Tower grater is not in my store, sorry.
I can fix that.
But the gift world for us is wonderful because it gives us the amusement, it gives us the fun. As a general rule, it gives us a better margin a lot of times. So we really like that gift world. We like those pieces. How do we fit them in? Everywhere. I have sections of my store that are totally devoted to tabletop lines. I carry pottery, so I have a huge section of my store devoted just to pottery. We cross-merchandise with our housewares. We do sell candles. What it is about candles, who knows? Most of the candles, though, that we sell are tapers for tabletop because we've tried as hard as we can with our gifts to stay in the kitchen area or eating or entertaining at the table so that our customer knows the focus of our gifts might be in that direction.
And do your gift sales tend to be impulse? Are they added on to a customer that's coming in to buy a more conventional gourmet product? Or
Sometimes they are, but sometimes they're quite intentional. I have a nice bridal registry, and a lot of the giftware has enabled my bridal registry to grow.
Okay.
So it can be very intentional.
Could I add something? You touched on something we found very important. The things in the store that are amusing are fabulous for sales. Even if they don't buy the thing that makes them laugh, I think there's a medical correlation. With their lips open, they start to laugh, their pocketbooks open, they start to spend.
Right.
And all that stuff that makes them have a good time in the store really, really enhances the sales of the entire selection.
And I think the independent retailer, part of the independent retailer's job is to entertain as people purchase, because now with the internet, with the big box store, items can be purchased anywhere, but the entertainment, I think, falls in our category.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we're going to jump just to Gary for a minute. So obviously your line is very wide and very varied, but what kind of products from your line sell best in non-traditional gift stores, and what can those stores be doing to boost the sales of your kind of products?
You know, it's interesting for us, Housewares is our largest growing category as a company, and the houseware retailer is really gravitating to this whole home, whole lifestyle look. So I ask everybody to think about, and it's really what you were both discussing, is the idea of the logical connectors. It's very easy to put in novelty salt and pepper shakers, wall art, that have recipes or catchy sayings, something that's amusing. There's all the, the lighting options because you sell tapers. Those are all great logical connectors, non-traditional housewares products that make a lot of sense in your environment. But I was going through and I was thinking about this question more, and I looked at one retailer. We have a housewares retailer. She has a 1,500 square foot profile. She's in the Mid-Atlantic. She uses all of our furniture for her display pieces. And she sells the display pieces from her retail store. She's actually now a very good furniture retailer. She does our lighting and does all of our lighting throughout her store. She sells the pendant lamps, the chandeliers. She's actually now a good lighting retailer. And we find it really fascinating because there are the logical connectors, the simple things that you can integrate into your mix of goods. But there's this whole other world of product that people are looking for. Is it logical? Is it functional? Does it make sense? And is it easily understood by the end consumer? That's where you have your wins in different products. And this little 1,500 square foot store is a platinum customer, just like Mary Liz is. These are our top tier customers buying non-traditional products. So it's a lot of changes.
And you see that still accelerating, still gaining?
This is why we're actually here at the Housewares Show. So this is our second year at the Housewares Show, because more and more housewares retailers are coming to us saying, how do I get that point of view that's unique? Where do I become a destination that's interesting to the end consumer? And how do I tell my story, my regional story, so that everybody can walk in and get a sense that I know what I'm doing as a retailer? That point of view conversation is really important.
I thought you came to the Housewares Show to do this panel.
Well, that and the martinis.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought. Okay, all right. So, and Sid, from your side, you said you originally were on the design side. So what goes into developing product that, from what's traditionally a housewares company, that appeals to both housewares and gift stores?
Well, I think what we've done is something that was unique for Lifetime Brands. Lifetime Brands is a food prep company mainly, although we do home decor and we do flatware and everything else. Looking at the pathology of consumers, you talked about it in terms of entertaining them, but it's more of an emotional connection. Understanding what that emotional connection is was important for us. The term that you're using is convergence, and at the time that Sephora came about, it was ripe for that kind of convergence. Think about it. In terms of food prep, the Food Network had been on for over a quarter of a century, right? So we have a whole generation of people who are growing up with food culture. Now there's multiple food shows on television, right? Now think about the fact that a soap opera could get bumped for a daytime TV show revolving around food. That's spectacular, right? So the amount of culture revolving around food was important for us, and riding that wave was important for us as well. Anyone has a smartphone here, you probably have multiple apps that have to do with food, right? You have OpenTable or Yelp or Urban Spoon. The food world is burgeoning, and it's important for people to be a part of that. There's websites that you can go to like Eater, or there's magazines that you can read like Savoir, not related to Sephora, by the way. But the zeitgeist was there. So for us to develop a line of food prep items that cultivated that kind of feel and love for food was important for us. And I think bringing Sephora out at that time helped us tap into something that was unique, inherently giftable, because it was a part of that kind of special social marker. It is a social marker. The reason that you check in on Facebook, that I went to Guilt Bar with some of my colleagues here last night, was it's a pretty cool place. I don't think you're checking in at McDonald's, right? It's not a social marker. So the pathology behind what it is that we're doing is important. But that's the viewpoint that we took when we were developing Sephora.
And Sephora, and you said Sephora was really, was almost created to address this convergence, right?
You know, it fit a number of buckets that helped us as a company. So Lifetime Brands, very large. It's the largest distributor of food prep items in North America. We're a global company now, but we already have the Walmarts and the Targets and the Kohl's and the Bed Bath & Beyonds. So what were we going to do that was going to drive growth internally? Independence. So if we could do something for independence that addressed a need and a concern, and elevated consumer housewares from something that was a commodity item that people buy because, well, my last can opener broke, so I should buy a new one. Let me go to the supermarket down the street, as opposed to, wow, I actually want that. And that's the emotional resonance that I was talking about. If you can take something that is a commodity item and turn it into something that has some level of emotional connectivity and relevance to someone's life, that's something special. When's the last time you desired an ice cream scoop? And if you look at our ice cream scoop, wow, I've got to have that ice cream scoop.
I've seen that ice cream scoop. It is pretty impressive, yes.
So we're trying to take items that are everyday items, but elevating them to something that's a little bit more special and being a little bit more thoughtful about how we design them.
And what would be a best-selling Savora item?
Surprisingly, the best-selling item that we have is a colander, stainless steel colander. Now think about how you use a colander. Colander, you strain your pasta or whatever it is that you're straining, and you rinse it out, you dry it out, you put it back in the cabinet. Our colander is something that people leave out as a centerpiece because it's so beautiful. It's functional. It's made out of stainless steel. It has a riser so that backwash doesn't get into it, lightweight handles. It does all the colander duty stuff properly, but it's something that was designed so uniquely. We took a different approach so that people would enjoy this item, and it's our #1 selling SKU.
And in addition to design, color plays a big role in what you do?
Correct. Color is one of those things. So my background prior to this was in the automotive industry, and if you've ever configured a car online or configured a shoe online, it gives you a sense of ownership in the process of creating something. When you're offering something in color multipliers, it offers you a secondary level of engagement. First, you're drawn in by the design, and now you have to make a decision about what that color says about me or what that color says about my level of thoughtfulness for the person I'm gifting it to. You know, one of the best compliments you can get when you receive a gift, or when you give a gift, I should say, is, wow, that was very thoughtful. Just being thoughtful, right? That's really the bottom line. And I think developing products that are contextually thoughtful for people is the important thing. And having the color palette that we have is something that actually crosses gender boundaries. In our industry, the majority of customers who buy Housewares products are women. But believe it or not, in our bridal registries for Savora, we're engaging with men more than we ever had before. It's kind of something that they can do jointly. And all of a sudden, you see that conversions are rising for some of these products when they're placed into bridal registries. So it's an interesting thing to look at people's color choice when you look at an item, because again, it's a social marker for what appeals to them or what they want to say about the person they're gifting it to.
Okay. But the convergence didn't go far enough to save Emerald's sitcom, right? On TV, that we're never going to reach that stage, right?
I'm speechless.
I wanted to check with the audience. Can you? We're just always interesting to see who's here. So, if you're a retailer, can you raise your hand? And if you're a supplier, and if you're other and you're not quite sure, okay, good. Always like to know. So Martha, you talked before about how you put gift and housewares products in your store and how you segment and how you display them. Can you talk a little bit more about that? How do gift items sell best on your floor? Integrated, separate, front, back, cash register?
All of the above.
Okay.
Every one of those works. There are some gift sections in my store. If you walked in, you'd say, this doesn't look like a kitchen store. This looks like dishes. And that's because we want it to be that way. We want the customer to take a look at it and say, I don't want that one dish, I want all of those dishes. So they're all put there together. They're stacked up like they are in your kitchen cabinets at home. There's a reason for doing that. And then there are other sections of my store where we might have blenders, and then beside it will be just a gift card. We sell cards. We sell, I'm trying to think of all the little gifty things because they're everywhere in my store. They're all, they're visual, they're exciting, they're in different spots. I do have some vendors' groupings seem to sell better if we keep that vendor together. Others do better if we cross merchandise. Who knows why? And we change that. We don't continuously keep that. I feel that my customer, hopefully, is a repeat customer that comes in and out a lot, and I want to switch it out, change it up, make it different, so that that person who comes in every 10 days to buy coffee sees something different, sees something unusual, gets a challenge, gets something different.
So you're constantly mixing up the store, and
We are. Probably not as much as we should.
and do you have display windows?
I do have display windows, although one of them is right now has a huge metro unit in it full of stuff that is not really displayed. It's more of a stacked up window. But yes, we do have display windows, and we try as hard as we can in those display windows to have some cross-section of everything that's in the store. So if you are walking out, we're in a lifestyle shopping center where you drive up to the front and you get out of the car and you walk around outside. We want people to be able to see from the outside what hopefully they will find inside.
And you mentioned that tapers are a category that
They
you do
are.
well in. So where do you show tapers on your floor?
They're actually near our tabletop items,
Okay.
yes.
On display or in
They're in a rack right now. They are in a vertical rack. We discovered many years ago that we didn't like as much space devoted to tapers. So right now we have them in a very, very small vertical rack, but for the footprint, we can get a lot of tapers in one small spot.
Okay, okay. Gary, in the stores that you've visited and worked with, do you notice successful patterns in how stores are integrating the displays and where they're putting it and how does that work?
It's very much what you're talking about. I think when we talk about the point of view, our best retailers are really cultivating a regionally specific, something that fits their demographic for their neighborhood. So they're taking the merchandise that makes sense for them in their neighborhood, and they're integrating it throughout the store. So the days where we see these vertical and horizontal independent stores that are just massing out specific stories are farther and fewer between. We're really seeing retailers that are, particularly the independents, who are working very hard to tell their story, their point of view. And so from a standpoint of square footage, you can do something very small if you're just going to tell a little seasonal story. You want to keep it together and combined. But I think as Martha was talking about integrating it throughout the store, very much what Mary Liz does as well, is really the most successful trend for us. We see retailers, we're delighted actually, they're quite frankly more creative than we are with the product. When we go and visit our stores, which we spend a lot of time really out in the field visiting our retailers, we're impressed by the fact that they're integrating Creative Co-op in every aspect of their home. It's why we call ourselves Whole Home, Whole Lifestyle, is really because we want to fit that specific independent retailer niche.
And what kind of products from your line work best in this environment?
Well, it's if you go and swing by the booth, you'll see a very small representation of what we make, but you'll see lighting as an option. So you'll see taper holders and candle lightings and picture frames. You'll see our housewares related items. You'll see furniture, which we sell, as we talked about, for display purposes. You'll see specific seasonal stories. You'll see stories that are tailored to address all the different seasons that we have from the little niche small markets. And you'll also see material stories. And I think this is something that the housewares retailer does very well. They can capture a market and tell a story in copper. They can tell a story in slate. They can tell a story. It makes sense for them. It's functional. It's useful. The end consumer comes into the store. It resonates. They know they want to purchase it. So, you know, that's a big part of the strategy for us.
And what issues do houseware stores say are a challenge in buying your line or in handling your line?
Do you know, we don't get a lot of pushback because what we find is if the retailer's willing to take a little bit of risk, and you don't have to have a high dollar investment to take a little bit of risk. And that's one of the things that we encourage is that, you know, the retailer go out, be a little bit bold, reach outside their normal comfort zone, and bring in a little something they would never normally pick. So in terms of resistance, it's really just that, you know, housewares is a great industry because it's logical, right? It makes perfect sense. You know how you use it, you know what the purpose is for, it's usually well packaged. The rest of the business isn't that way. You know, home decor, home furnishing, you really have to try to have your own point of view. And that's really the only resistance we get, is the retailer coming in and trusting themselves that they have a valid point of view beyond just the Housewares product.
Very few people use the word logic and gifts in the same sentence, so yes,
Yeah.
that's very true. And you mentioned furniture as well. What kind of furniture are these folks buying?
It's really interesting for us, because you would think, small occasional pieces would be a driver, but it's really not the case. It's our large furniture pieces. It's our anything that's mobile is a home run. So you'll see a lot of our product is actually on wheels, so it has maximum versatility. But we're selling the lighting, large chandeliers, pendant lighting, large furniture pieces, anything on wheels, a home run. The simple items that they pick, the wall art, the candle accessories, these are logical connectors that are easy for them to integrate. What we're finding fascinating is the amount of product that would really be more closely associated with a home store that our Housewares retailers are integrating into their retail environment.
And you said they're buying them as fixtures, but they also are selling them?
They, without exception, I think every single retailer we have that buys a fixture from us retails that fixture. And it's one of our strategies in how we buy it, is to make sure that we have the inventory to constantly replenish those, because they call us and say, I just sold the hutch, I just sold the... And I'll use Mary Liz just because she's a good customer. Everything in Mary Liz's store is for sale. Like every fixture
My dress
display,
actually has a tag on it.
Your dress has a tag on it. So you go in, you see...
Same way in my store.
Yeah, I mean,
If
everything's
it's not
for sale.
nailed down, we will sell it.
Absolutely right.
And if I don't want to sell it, I mark it up, because then I feel better about it. If I really, really
If it
like it
does
and don't
sell.
want to let it go,
She makes it really
I
expensive.
can be bought. There's,
Very good.
That's a true
So-
retailer right
oh, it's
there.
totally true.
In your store, Mary Liz, again, how are you integrating these categories? And I know...
Our store has the potential for such enormous chaos because we're so big and we carry so many categories. I try to keep all of my gift and small things in the gift area, and the Housewares department pretty much stays in the Housewares department. And then we break it out to tell a story. Christmas, we had a big success with our beer story. We had beer soap, and we had beer openers, and we had beer coolers, and we had beer books, and beer everything. Big home run. We also have a large landing area when we come in with a big table that's seasonal. So Housewares are fabulous in Easter baskets. We've got lots of our pink and all the right colors. Color stories are important. But then after that story's been told for a while, it goes back where it belongs on the shelves and stays either by category or more often by vendor. We do a lot of stories by color.
And are you showing the same product multiple times on the floor?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Especially at Easter. We'll have it in the Housewares department, and we'll also have it put on our Easter table or Valentine's Day or any of those holidays. One of the reasons is self-defense, because if I take it all away, then when I go to put it back on the shelves, I've lost the space. So I leave a marker so it knows where to go when it's time for it to go home. But it's important to keep, as you're adding more categories and doing things that are disparate additions, to somehow let your customer make a logical connection in what she's seeing, to make everything in a grouping somehow work together. It's got to have a story, it's got to have a theme, it's got to work together. You can occasionally just throw something in as a pop for fun, but you've got to be careful, or suddenly it starts to look like a garage sale. All of a sudden, if it doesn't have a unifying display factor, it can be a big fat mess. And you were talking about the furniture. Having independent retailers of all kinds using real furniture in their stores instead of vendor fixtures adds such a huge feeling of permanence and solidity, and it looks like you're really serious. If everything's on a wire rack or a cardboard pop-up rack, it looks like you could be gone in 48 hours. So that furniture makes a big, big difference, and it makes you look like a much bigger deal for not that much money.
And how often do you move those furniture fixtures? Or how often do you sell them? I
Move
guess?
stuff. Well, we're a furniture store.
Right.
So we sell case goods, and we sell custom upholstery, and we sell upholstery. But we move things, well, there are a few things that move at the rate of the cheese grater. But most things are moving constantly. And we take things out, too, and change them around to the store. It's so important when a customer comes in that your store is fresh and different and new looking. She wants to be able to find the candles that she needs and the things she reorders, but every time she comes in, she wants to be delighted with a new look. So we are moving our stuff around all the time.
And I know that you've stepped up your online merchandising. You started at the holidays, I guess.
We're actually supposed to launch our online business next week.
Okay.
We were going to launch. We're going to launch them for some holiday. The exact holiday has yet to be determined.
I think Arbor Day is still coming
It
up.
might be.
Yes, okay. All right. How will you integrate Housewares and Gift online then? Will it be different than in the store?
It'll be the same product at this point. At some point, I think I'll buy more things for the online presence than we have, different things for online than we have in the store. But right now, we're adding the things that we do well with online that are easily shippable. Then I'll do the things that are impossible to ship. But I thought I'd start with the stuff that I think I have a chance at success and the things I know our customers are looking for.
That's different. You normally start with the impossible and then go backwards, right?
That's the way we did our online presence the first time, which is why we took a little vacation.
Which is why you're doing
about
it a
4
second
years,
time, yes. And your strategy on your checkout areas in terms of impulse items and
There is always, my next store, I've got such a great plan. All I'm going to have is a cash register. Everything will be at the register. So that when you go into a booth and a rep says, you should put this at the register.
You can do it.
I can, because it'll be solid register.
That's the truth.
The register area is really important because it gets your customers talking. There should always be fun stuff up there that changes constantly, so you've got things that they can pick up and add to the bag, and it engages them with the staff. Because that person at the register is your last contact in the store before you go. So it's good to give her some ammunition with something fun to talk about and something that'll keep those customers laughing and smiling and wanting to come back.
and you've had some classic fun items, if I remember correctly.
Well, we find anything with farts is good, just as a baseline thing. But we have a classy upscale store. Our price points are moderate to upper moderate, and then we temper it with really silly stuff, and it just makes people love us.
I do have one of your
great.
flying monkeys, so
The
yes.
flying monkeys have been a classic good
Yes,
seller.
yes, yes, that's always good.
Screaming flying monkeys.
Martha, are you doing anything online yet, or?
We do have an online presence, and we are relatively new. We started that last fall, October, I believe. It's a huge challenge for any retailer to be in business as long as we've been in business and then suddenly say, hey, let's sell some things online. I discovered, I'll speak for myself, not my husband, I think it's the hardest thing I've ever done. I have to say, I had to learn an awful lot about the computer, the internet. I learned things I never thought I was going to need to know. I learned a lot of technical things. I'm not a technical person. I'm far more touchy-feely and romantic, I think, than technological. That was a huge learning curve for me. And then talking about what to put online, there's a whole nother world that you have to sit down and say, okay, I can fill my shelves up, that's easy, but what am I going to put online? What will transfer online? Because we're so new at that, we are still learning what works online, what people like to see online, but here's what we have discovered that has been fascinating. Our customer looks at what we have online and then comes in our store.
Okay.
And we've also had vendors contact us who looked at us online and looked at what we had projected for a potential sale online and contact us and say, you look like a good match for what I've got. We've had some pushback, I guess, from some people that we just weren't expecting that. I guess we thought that we just put some items out there online, everybody would buy them, and that would be that. But we have discovered there are different channels of business out there that look at my website and look at what I have chosen to put online. So I'm still new, I'm still learning. I appreciate everybody's input. Anything you can tell me that will help me,
People
I'm all
come
for
up and they gaily say, oh, you should be online. Why don't you just have all
Just
this
do
stuff?
it. Just
this
go
8,000
online.
SKUs. Why don't you just put those online?
Right.
And I say, well, we'll just do that. And then we go beat our heads against the wall.
And then here's something that we learned that we didn't think about. We didn't put a search button on our website because we weren't going to put every single thing in the whole store. And we thought, somebody will go to the search button, they'll look for, XYZ, and they won't have it, and they'll say, oh, well, they don't sell that.
Well, it's interesting
So
that
we
what you
didn't do
had mentioned
that.
before about merchandising items physically, it can look like a garage sale, and your website
Right.
can do the same thing.
Right, exactly.
So you have to
Exactly.
curate everything so that it looks special. The majority of people who spend time online are there to be entertained, not necessarily informed.
That's right.
And that's part of what that online experience needs to be as well.
And what we discovered, too, from not putting the search button there is that we've had people call the store. And I love that because then they get a person to talk to who can sell them more things than a picture, a small picture online.
Well, it's interesting. Most of the people who we find are online are doing some level of research to validate what the purchase is that they're going to make. So they will look it up on Amazon. They will look it up wherever they can get some sort of customer feedback and
They
review.
look it up everywhere.
That's right. And maybe it's for price, maybe it's for convenience, but ultimately, after they've compiled all that information, then they will converge wherever it is that it's easiest to purchase it from.
Right.
Right.
It's the same for us. I think when we look at the e-tailing environment, what we find is you cannot convey the passion, you cannot convey the regionally specific mindset that's so important to our independent retailers. You lose a lot of the passion that the retailers have. These are what our best retailers are able to communicate at the store. So e-tailing's here to stay, the websites are important, but they're really just another transactional tool. What the independent retailers' advantage is today is the passion of what they do. And that's not going to be translated in a web-based environment. So when the consumer walks in, they're going to have multiple transactions. They're going to buy the housewares item, the candle item, the furniture item, the lighting item. What we're finding is the consumers that are coming in today are looking to our retailers, same for a manufacturer, for solutions, things that are easily translatable into their own home environment. And this is where the independent retailer, the independent housewares retailer specifically, can win and win big. Because the person walks in, they see it, it's easily digestible, it's easily understood. You're never going to get that out of the e-tail environment. So there's a huge competitive advantage for our independent retailers who embrace this whole home, whole lifestyles point of view.
Well, and in the housewares and home area, too, it's very important that our customers come in and we tell them how the peeler works, or we tell them why they should have down instead of foam, and all the things they know to make an intelligent decision, because people aren't buying these things too often. And you can go online and you can read reviews, but it's not like talking to somebody who pushed the button on the blender and knows how to make it work. So the brick and mortar experience, I've been fascinated by the number of people who are going to be pure play internet retailers who are now opening brick and mortar stores.
Absolutely right.
For them.
Yep.
They're going to find out.
That's right.
It's definitely the case. Gary, the stores that you're selling to, are a lot of them doing online now?
I think our retailers are basically similar experiences as you're saying. I mean, they're having an online presence. But you know what I encourage, particularly our independents who can spend a lot of money trying to create this online presence, is that it really should be a transactional site. It should be something they can come and pick something up as a convenience as opposed to going to another e-tailing resource. But so yes, I think a lot of them do. I think a lot of them also understand that it's not a replacement for the retail environment. It lacks the passion, it lacks the creativity, it doesn't have the feeling that you get from the independent stores. They're really seeing it as this is a convenience resource, another way to make a purchase. It's all transaction focused.
We're approaching ours as really a customer service issue for the people who are from
Right.
far away or want another piece of something more than as another business.
I'm still amazed that Martha has a store where people call. You actually talk to a person?
They do. They call. They talk to a person. A person answers the phone. It's great.
It's remarkable. It's remarkable. The retailers in the audience, how many are doing some online things, either in gift or housewares or both? Anybody trying that? Having any luck with it? Anybody sharing experiences? Okay, I think keep that to yourselves. We're going to keep talking, but we can take some questions as well. And I'm sorry, I'm shielding my eyes here, but any questions, comments, rebuttals, criticism?
Anyone want to help her set up her Tinder account?
That's right.
Anybody want to buy that cheese grater? There's a question over there. Yes, young man?
Martha, for gift stores that might be looking at housewares and what kind of items might be good, what would you say are some of the better functional housewares items that have been successful as gifts in your store?
Your ice cream scoop is a great one. Immediately that came to mind.
Checks in the mail.
That's a really good one. There are a few electric items that, I'm sorry to shield my eyes, but I can't see you at all. A few electric items do very, very well for us as gifts. Stick blenders, hand mixers, I'm trying to think of a few more. Coffee grinders. Some of those do really, really well as gifts. Coffee makers do well as gifts, and that may be because we sell so much coffee. We do have about 30 different flavors of coffee, and So we're very coffee oriented. So those do very nicely. Let me think. I sell pots and pans as gifts. I mean, like I said earlier, everything in my store is a potential gift. Does that help?
Yes. I'm here next to this handsome young man who I think you know.
I see him over there.
Okay. On the flip side, on the gift side, as you look at functional housewares items, is there a limit on price points and how high you can go, or what you're looking for in terms of the sweet spot that you want to hit for a housewares type item in a gift environment?
For gifts, a price range, is that what you're
No,
asking?
no, actually to, is it Mary?
Mary
Oh,
Liz?
to Mary Liz,
I'd
go
like to
ahead.
find out what the gift perspective is in adding a functional housewares item. Is there a sweet spot in terms of price point? How high do you think is the
Anything that's $20 or less, they don't think about. It's just they'll buy it. What a shut-up gift to make the child be quiet in the store is $10 now. It's just amazing. It's astounding. But below 20, under 20, you're just fine with anything, and it sells like crazy. And that's the kind of a price point at $15, $18 where they'll come back and buy 5 or 6 pieces. As far as more expensive things, we sell things up to $30 and $35, and then after that it becomes more of a commitment. People have to think about whether they want to buy this tray, and it goes more into a decorative accessory and less of a housewares item. But in the gifting area, I would say $25 and below. For us, the best bridge line was Fred, which is a Lifetime brand, and that was a line that it's all functional housewares, but it's all fun and silly and well-designed and really works. And he's here, okay, just so you know.
Some serious sucking up going on here, okay.
But it's
Thank you
true,
so
it really
much.
showed us how interested people were in things in the kitchen. And one of the things that's interesting is we all want to cook. We all think we're going to cook. And if I wake up and I really start cooking, I have got the stuff. And I like to open my drawer and see that I have a fabulous peeler and a fabulous this and all these great things. I don't use half of it. Then I can go to the other closet where I have the stuff in case I start scrapbooking, and the other closet that I have in case I start, I've been in this business a long time, sewing. But there's a lot of us who like to have all the equipment who aren't even using it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a huge untapped market.
Well, we went into the business because we like to cook, and we want everybody to cook. And what we're finding now in this day and age is that not everybody cooks. What people do, and you all do it, I do it, we assemble meals. We run out to Whole Foods and we buy something, and we maybe make a sauce to go with it. And then we put it on our lovely dishes, and we put all our equipment out, and we put all our tabletop items out there, and we put our candles on the table, and there's our dinner. And we haven't really cooked it, we've assembled it. And so
It
what
comes out of the
I'm
kitchen,
trying
it
to do
counts.
too, yeah, it's coming out of the kitchen, but what I'm trying to do is offer people everything they need to put those meals together, whether they make it from scratch or whether they buy it from Whole Foods. Doesn't make any difference.
The context is different now. Instead of cooking, it's entertaining.
Exactly.
Right, absolutely. And look at the evolution in the kitchen environment. If you look what's happened to kitchens in general, they've really become another well-decorated piece of your home. It's not just for the function. It's not that people want the microwave, the stove. You're looking at people. We have an under-the-counter lamp that people put in the kitchen. That's a little cast iron and linen shade that fits beautifully, clocks that look great in there. We have people that buy mirrors. They're really decorating the kitchens, becoming an extension of their home decor palette, how they view their house. And I think that's a big part of what you were just saying. They're not necessarily cooking, but the kitchen is an integral part of entertaining. It's where everybody wants to be, and they want it decorated appropriately.
We like the term kitchen jewelry
Oh, that's beautiful.
because those are the things that stay out on your counter, decorate your kitchen.
Perfect. I'm
If
gonna
you look
quote
at
you on that.
well, the kitchen is a social space now, right? So if you're entertaining, everyone hovers around the kitchen because that's where, they'll get their liquor first, they'll get their hors d'oeuvres first. And if you look at the way architecture has evolved, the formal dining room is going away.
Yeah.
And more people are entertaining and hanging around the kitchen. So, how many people need a Sub-Zero? Probably not. But again, social marker, right? You get the nice things. How many people break out their KitchenAid mixer? Not that often. Maybe once a year at Christmas, maybe. Again, it sits out. It's a social marker. So these items that do sit out on your counter, it evolves into something that used to be handy because you were cooking all the time, but now it's a statement.
It's a
you know.
kitchen jewelry.
That's right. Kitchen jewelry.
So you don't need a Viking range to reheat Chinese leftovers, right? Is that
They're better, but it looks good.
It looks good, right?
okay? I just got in this industry to eat, not to cook. So all right. So we'll just wrap it up. Is this trend still ongoing? Is there going to be more integration, kind of leveling off? Sid, kind of, where do you see this kind of leveling off a little bit?
I think that because the world is becoming more integrated and we're getting more information from overseas, you know, we just came back, many of us, from the Ambiente show in Frankfurt. Not that different from some of the things that we're seeing here. There's social mores that are a little bit different because it's Europe. But people in general, I think, are integrating their lives a little bit more in terms of entertaining for us. So in terms of food prep, I think that the trend will continue. The majority of people who want to entertain at home, we've seen the trend rise. Things that normally would be a part of entertaining, like barware, we're finding that when people are having good times, what do? They drink. When people are upset, what do? They drink. Barware is a good line for us. God bless America. The other items that stay out on your countertop, the kitchen jewelry, again, Savoir is introducing a new line of knives that you usually have this block, this dull block on your kitchen counter. What if that looked tremendous? What if that was something that was exquisite? We've designed a new kitchen line block. We've designed things that are functional, like cutting boards that can be used as serving trays because they're a little bit more presentable. So items that have a little bit of thoughtfulness in there, a little bit of function, so that you don't have buyer's remorse. You bought it because it looked very good, but ultimately it didn't follow through. Those are the things that people are going to gravitate towards. I go back to the reviews online on Amazon. I think that, you know, that level of feedback is good, but the feedback that we get directly from our retail partners, there's something to be said for being an independent and having a direct voice. You know, any one of you can call me tomorrow if you had a problem, and we'd rectify it, or we'd progress it a little bit better for generation 2 and develop it a little bit better so that next time you don't have the same problem. There's nothing that's better than that, and hearing that feedback. I think that continuing that kind of close relationship with our retail partners, with our rep groups, with our factories, it's all part of that big system. It's going to help that trend continue to grow.
Okay. Martha, do you expect to continue to integrate more traditional gifts into your kitchen shop? Yeah.
I think that's what sets us apart from our competition, both online and the big box. I think that it gives us our personality, is to move into that gift world some. It's fun. And yes, we will continue.
But I mean, do you worry that you dilute the kitchen message at some point, or no?
Nope. No, I don't have any worries about that.
Okay.
I'm going in that direction. I'm staying with my kitchen. I love my kitchen things, but I'm going in the gift direction as well, and including that too.
Okay. And Gary, in the customers that you're working with, you see more of this to come?
It's all about the integration. And for the retailers that are here in the room, I think that's a very important thing to embrace. If you look at if you think of just our current catalog, our most recent introduction is divided into 16 different lifestyle statements that cover the full gamut. As I mentioned, 25% of our brand is housewares related, 75% is home decor, fashion, decorative accessories. And so integration's a critical part of it. And what we're trying to do with that integration is divide them up into easily digestible statements. So, there's a Moroccan theme, there's a bistro theme, there's a garden theme. So, the integration for us really extends every aspect of the home, not just the kitchen. So we really see it from, the front door to the back door. Everything we can put in that environment, all those products are fair game for us. And that's how we see our development cycle. If it makes sense in the brand, if we can tell a compelling story at a compelling price, something that we've designed ourselves, then it's going to be put into the Creative Co-op brand.
And Mary Liz, more to come?
Absolutely. I have a theory that if we're always looking for new things and new categories. If we don't have some stuff that falls into that greater category of things that were a disaster, we aren't trying hard enough. So we're always reaching, because we don't find those home runs if we don't also deal with some of the losers. So that's, I think, important to keep expanding your offering and keep making it interesting and changing. But ultimately, you know, we're here in Chicago, and I think Marshall Field said it best. There's a very simple answer to success in this business. You give the lady what she wants. And if we can figure out what she wants, even if she doesn't know it yet, whether it's a potato peeler or a new sweater or a new sofa, then we're going to be successful. So it's just constantly looking to figure out how we can make her happy.
Okay, I got to write that down in my personal life too. Okay, all right. Anyway, our panelists will be up here after the session if you want to talk to them one-on-one. Mary Liz does have cheese graters in her bag, and we'll be making you special rates on those. Want to thank you all for taking some time out of your day. I know the chairs were the big draw, but we're just glad you're here. And thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks. Thanks.